Hey everyone, I'm Nick Pettit, and you are watching Doctype, and this is kind of a very different kind of episode we're doing today. Obviously, we are in the UK, in beautiful Bath, at the Carsonified offices, and I'm here with Mr. Ryan Carson.
Hello, hello. It's an honor to be on the show.
So Ryan, for like the two people watching that don't know who you are,
Yeah, right.
can you just kind of explain like who you are and what you do?
Sure. So basically, I grew up in Colorado and ended up in the UK somehow, and started a company called Carsonified. And we essentially do a couple things. We do events, so for like future web apps and future web design. And we also design and build a lot of websites for ourselves. And we also run thinkvitamin.com, which is basically a site for web designers and developers. And we've built a couple web apps in the past. One was called DropSend, which we built up and then sold, I think about a year and a half ago. And then we just launched a new web app, which obviously you guys are a part of,
right.
Called Think Vitamin Membership.
Cool.
And that's me.
So why did you move to the UK originally? What's the story there?
Well, I graduated with a computer science degree, and that was in 2000. Yeah, 2000. And that was kind of right before the dot-com bubble exploded.
Right.
And it's getting sort of ridiculous offers like, hey, come work for Sun and we'll give you a Porsche, you know? And I was, or HP and 50 grand, plus 20 grand signing bonus, and it was kind of crazy. But I just thought, I could do that, but I'm always going to be able to do that. Why don't I go and do something different, and I can come back to that. So basically decided, where can I go? They speak English. And so I thought, well, Australia or UK? I'll try the UK. And I was just going to be here for a year. But ended up staying for 10, and I got married, and I have a kid, and I have a British company now. So. All
right. Well, I guess you're kind of stuck here.
Yeah, in a good way.
Yeah. Jim is right here. You guys can't see him. It's okay, Jim. You can cough. He's like dying right now. All right. Yeah.
Jim just died. I'm the new co-host of Doctype. Hi.
So why'd you decide to start a business?
Well, I was a lead developer at a web design studio, and I just got to the point where I realized I was unhappy being an employee. It was strange. I don't know when that moment happened, but I realized I just thought I could do things better than my boss, which was arrogant. But I think you have to start with a bit of naivete and arrogance when you start a company because you don't know any better.
Right.
So I just thought I can do this. I'll build my own stuff and launch my own company. But Carsonified wasn't, and we started as Carson Systems, and we've changed our name. And we originally were just going to build software, and we kind of ended up doing events and morphed into what we are today. So it kind of fell into it, really.
So you started doing events. Why did you decide to do events and not something else?
Well, we did basically. I started this thing with a friend called By Designers for Designers, or BD4D.com, and it was called Creative Fight Club. Mm-hmm. And the idea was like Fight Club the movie. You would the idea is you could go to a bar with a bunch of other web designers and web developers, talk about what you're doing, have some beer, and just meet each other and hang out. So we started doing, and this is just for fun in our free time. Kind of like the way you guys do Doctype. I mean, it's something you're passionate about. You do it on the side.
Totally.
And did that for a couple of years, and it got really big. We ended up doing something like 50 of them, and 17 different cities in 6 different countries or something.
Oh,
and
wow.
it was all run by other people. So we only went to a couple of them. And that kind of, I realized I really enjoyed connecting people and encouraging people and doing that. And so that kind of led into events. We thought, well, let's do a workshop,
Mm-hmm.
that gets people together. We know really amazing people to speak, so let's invite them to speak. And it just kind of snowballed.
Cool. So you're doing events, and that's kind of, your main thing right now, but you're transitioning into Think Vitamin Membership right now. Tell us about that. I mean, with recurring revenue and everything.
So being originally a web developer and then transitioning to being an entrepreneur, I was interested in okay, we have this great events business, but the revenue is up and down, and I would love to introduce recurring revenue into the business, because basically with Dropsend was very successful financially, but I was bored with it, and that's why we sold it. And ever since then, I thought, gosh, it'd be great if we could figure out something nice that offers good value, but that is more fun to run as a company. So what we realized is we have this amazing community of web designers and developers that we've curated over like 6 years. And we love training and connecting people. And it would make sense to basically do monthly training. So the idea is, think about a membership is you sign up and every month you get access to all the videos, which you guys do, that teach you how to do web development, web design. And It's nice because people subscribe and they stick around for a long time. So it just makes this beautiful sort of stress-free business. I love it. It's great.
Cool. Awesome. So kind of changing gears a little bit, I'm sure a lot of people watching are trying to start businesses. Could you talk a little bit about cash flow? Because you recently spoke about that at Future Web Apps.
Yeah. Okay. So I think people approaching web apps, that's probably what you mean when they're starting companies, are probably around, building a web app. And so the thing that I find hard about web apps that no one's talking about is after you launch them, like how do you make them succeed? And how do you know what to measure? And what's good and what's bad? So basically I put together a spreadsheet, which you can find at j.mp/SaaS metrics. That's SaaS metrics. And the idea is that it's a model for, what does a web app look like once you launch it? What kind of things should you pay attention to? So things like churn. So churn is the percentage of users that cancel every month. And that has a massive effect on your numbers. And that should be the number one thing you care about, because that determines the lifetime of a customer.
Right.
So you basically do the calculation. If you have 10% churn, so every month you have 10% of your customers cancel, what that means is their average lifetime is 10 months. Because what you do is you take 100 divided by the churn rate.
Right.
And so that says the average person stays 10 months, and now say they pay you $25 a month. That means the average lifetime value of that customer is $250. And then that starts to affect the lifetime profit per customer. So you have to look and say, well, when we get a customer in, we have to understand how much profit we're actually getting from that customer, because that will affect how much you can spend to acquire them. Right. So there's all these kind of things that if you're not measuring and understanding and tracking and improving these things, you're kind of flying blind. I had this experience with Dropsend where you have a good app and it's succeeding, like the revenue is growing, but that's all and you don't understand why or how or what's going on, and you kind of feel like you're flying a plane just totally blind, and it's terrifying, and it's impossible to take your web app forward. So I think if you learn how to measure the key metrics, things like churn, your contracted monthly recurring revenue, your CPA, your cost per acquisition, and you start to understand these numbers and increase them, and then your conversion rate, then you can succeed. And then you can also talk to other friends who run web apps and say, what's your conversion rate? Like right now, I'm thinking about a membership, our conversion rate is hovering around 0.3 and 0.4%. And we want to get that up to 1%.
Right.
So you can start talking about these things and know if it's okay or not. I think that's it. It's important to know. And I felt like no one was talking about it. So
cool. Very cool. So you've been at a couple of different companies, and you've been running your events business, and now you're, kind of actually getting back into web apps in a way. You must have seen a lot of trends over that time and faced a lot of different challenges. What do you think the biggest challenge of just running a business is, especially, web business?
It's marketing.
Yeah.
And presuming you're not solving a really hard technical problem.
Right.
if you're doing that, then it's the tech that's hard. But if you're solving a normal problem, something like an invoicing web app, which has been done, but something that's technically not hard, the hard part is getting customers. And I think we as web people, we tend to shy away from that, sort of like, that's the part I don't want to do,
Right, totally.
But that's the only part that makes it into a successful business. So it's one of these things where it's getting easier and easier to build a web app because a lot of the infrastructure is done for you. Now the hard part is going out and finding customers. And you said something earlier today I thought was really good, which was you have to hustle really hard and be patient. And I think that's kind of the key, is that it always appears as if people succeed quickly.
Right.
You look at a Flickr or a glitch, like a game that isn't even launched yet, but everybody's talking about it. But the reason why everyone's talking about it is because they put in years of work at Flickr.
Right.
And that doesn't happen overnight. The only reason that we're lucky enough to succeed with ThinkFighter membership is because we've been working for 6 years. 6 years, in the industry. And so I think, I just encourage, everyone watching to start now, build a community, be the center of that community, and it'll take a couple of years, in order to gain traction. And then the nice thing is if you think of an idea to service that community, it's like turning on a faucet. So we basically had this amazing community that I absolutely love that know us because we've been doing events and have an idea, and we turn a faucet and you have crazy amounts of customers. So I think it's hard work, but exciting when it happens.
So you do events, you have Think Vitamin membership. What's next? Kind of wrapping up. I know.
A part of me just wants to focus on one thing for a while. Carsonified, we have so many things going on. We have thinkvitamin.com, our blog. We have Think Vitamin membership. We have Carsonified. We have Future Web Apps. We have Future Web Design. Other various conferences and other little side projects like Hello App and the Matinator. And they're all fun, but I actually am craving focusing 100% on something. And so I think what's next for me is ThinkFighter membership. Absolute laser focus on making that the most kick-ass web training in the world. It'll be nice, and I'll focus on that for years. And then when it is the best, then something else.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll probably be terribly tempted to divert my attention before then. But I'm looking forward to focusing finally.
Well, thanks so much for taking the time.
Yeah, honored. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, really appreciate it. We're still in the UK. We fly back tomorrow. Ryan's getting a phone call.
As we speak.
So we probably won't have like a normal episode next Tuesday because we'll still be getting used to Eastern time again. But we will be back very soon. And thanks so much for watching. See you soon.